I don't know what it is, but I feel like the compact Android tablet space has been severely lacking these days. If you're in the market, then you'd know you're typically stuck choosing between underpowered budget devices like the Galaxy Tab series, the Amazon tablet lineup, or ditching Android altogether for an iPad mini, which I absolutely do not want to do. Thankfully, Lenovo is giving us a real alternative, bringing their high-end Legion gaming tablet over to US markets. During the past few weeks, I spent quite a bit of time with it, and no doubt it's a great device you should have on your radar. So real quick, let me break down everything you need to know about the Lenovo Legion Tab in this full review, and of course, if you appreciate Android-focused content like this, consider subscribing to the 9 to 5 Google YouTube channel, as we have a lot more content like this coming your way. And first things first, let's talk about the design and build. Straight away, it certainly does follow the footsteps of previous Legion gaming tablets by not looking anything like a gaming tablet at all, actually. There's no RGB lighting, no sharp angles or textured surfaces, no bright accent colors or bold color schemes. In fact, the design they went for is actually the exact opposite, looking very subtle with clean branding and a minimal design covered in a stealthy matte gray aluminum finish, which is great because it doesn't force this device into a gaming niche, at least design-wise, making it more accessible to a wider audience. It's also worth mentioning that due to its 8.8-inch screen size, it's super portable, making it way easier to carry around compared to bigger tablets, and is more comfortable to hold for longer gaming sessions. But I have to say, the most important aspect here is this whole port situation, as you get two USB-C ports. One is a standard USB 2.0 port, and the other is USB 3.2. With this dual USB port setup, you get a few benefits here, like the ability to charge the device while connecting some kind of accessory. So maybe a mouse and keyboard, a mic and webcam, a controller and flash drive. There is a lot of combinations here, alongside the simple fact that you can just use the most convenient USB port for charging, depending on if you're holding the tablet in landscape or portrait mode. It's a small thing, but a thoughtful addition for those into gaming or productivity. Now we can talk about the display, which is honestly one of this tablet's strongest suits. We're looking at an 8.8-inch LCD panel with a resolution of 2560 by 1600. With these specs, of course, text looks crisp and games are plenty sharp as expected, and it's pretty bright for a tablet too at 500 nits in normal conditions, but can get up to 900 in direct sunlight. For this tablet, I had to throw on my usual vivid high contrast wallpaper, and on this screen it was just so vibrant and full of color. It's just a gorgeous display for gaming or watching content, which is probably what you'll be doing most of the time anyways. Plus, the 16:10 aspect ratio is great too, making it feel taller in portrait mode for easier web browsing and viewing text documents or PDFs, since you'll have to do less vertical scrolling to take everything in. And the 16:10 aspect ratio benefits videos too, since you don't have to crop in too far to get a full screen image. Regardless, the real headline feature, especially for gamers, is that super smooth 165Hz refresh rate. In the settings, you can toggle a high frame rate mode that typically keeps it around 145Hz in most cases, but you can also force the 165Hz modes in the settings per app. For this video, I'm keeping the frames counter in the top left corner, that way you'll be able to tell, but overall it's a great addition that I noticed the most when zipping through the UI, but also in gaming as well. It makes Warzone Mobile, for example, feel like an actual console game, but I'll get into more of that in a minute. Overall, whether I was gaming, watching videos, or just reading, this display felt great to use, and of course that 8.8-inch screen size is wonderful as well, as it takes me back to the good old Nexus 7 days of using a small compact tablet. It's super light and manageable, comfortable to use, and easy to hold, making it kind of feel like a handheld console since you have good space for touch controls without your thumbs covering up the screen. As I've said quite a few times, it's simply a great display to use in day-to-day use, and by far my favorite aspect. Now we can talk about the most important part about this device, which is performance. At this point in 2025, there are a ton of great Android games out there, and trust me, I tried a lot of them out. As you would expect with the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 chip and 12 gigs of RAM, performance was pretty great overall. I threw some heavy-hitting games at this tablet like Warzone Mobile, Delta Force, Once Human, Prince of Persia, Snowbreak Containment Zone. It's been a good time, but I will say it's absolutely mind-blowing that immaculate controller support is not standard on every Android game in 2025, but putting that aside, the Legion Tab ran everything that I tried perfectly fine performance-wise at least. For most games, I aim for the highest frame rate possible so I could take advantage of that 100 165Hz display, or sometimes a good mix of graphics and smoothness, and this tablet really handled things flawlessly. I did notice it got warmer than usual in one specific use case, running Once Human on the absolute highest graphic settings, but to be fair, that's a massive 3D open world game, always online with tons of players and assets. It's basically a console quality game, so I do get it here. Personally, while I don't live and die by benchmarks, this tablet did absolutely crush 3D Mark as expected, and of course, everyday performance like scrolling social media, multitasking, web browsing was excellent as well. No hiccups, no slowdowns, just a clean Android experience. Honestly, there really isn't much more to say here. It's a Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 tablet, and it performs exactly as you would expect. Sure, the Snapdragon Gen 8 Elite would be even better, but right now I don't think any tablet actually has that, so this is pretty much the best performance you can get in this 8-inch form factor. Alright, let's talk software, and I'd say it's an interesting experience on the Legion Tab. Lenovo is using their ZUI skin, and it's kind of a mix of mostly stock Android with some Lenovo specific features and visual tweaks sprinkled in. Aesthetically, the notification shade has this Gaussian blurred background, the multitasking menu looks a little bit different than stock, and swiping left from the home screen brings up an entertainment hub for quick access to media apps. Customization is pretty basic as well. You can change icons with some preloaded options, adjust color theming, plus a few minor extras. Honestly, it isn't super deep, which is fine by me. What's more important are the features geared towards power users and gamers. There's a little Game Center overlay you can swipe in during games. It shows performance stats and gives toggles for a few features like screen recording, a RAM cleaner, turning off notifications, and a few more. We get a bypass charging feature, which is awesome as it powers the tablet directly from the charger itself instead of the built-in battery, reducing heat when plugged in and gaming simultaneously. There's also a built-in key mapping feature for controllers or keyboard and mouse, which is great to have without needing any third-party apps. And crazy enough, this tablet has an actual real desktop mode where you can hook up a mouse and keyboard, connect to an external display if you want, and from there, apps will open in Windows like a real desktop alongside a taskbar. Kind of wild that we got this on the Legion Tab before something more prominent like the Pixel tablet, but it's a cool addition nonetheless. I will say though, the biggest downfall here is probably its software support. The Legion Tab ships with Android 14, which is fine, but the latest security patch on my unit was from December 2024, about 5 months old as I'm recording this video. Lenovo's site does say Android 15 is planned and security updates are promised until January 2029, which is decent, but I have a gut feeling we won't see any major Android updates past Android 15. Maybe that's not a huge deal in an age where OS updates don't feel as impactful as they used to back in the day, but compared to a similarly priced iPad mini, getting 4 to 5 years of major updates, it doesn't look great, and it's really the main disadvantage I've found so far in this tablet. Lastly, before we wrap up, I wanted to touch on a few extra items, stuff that isn't necessarily make or break, but definitely things you should know about if you're considering this tablet. First is the lack of biometrics. There is no fingerprint scanner, which feels really weird at this price point in 2025. It does have camera-based face unlock, but it's not super secure and honestly pretty unreliable, especially in low light. Second, switching to a positive here, Lenovo actually includes a nice folio case and a glass screen protector right in the box. Initially, I thought this was just a little bonus as part of a reviewer's package or something, but no. Every person that purchases this tablet gets one, which is a huge win, and I have to commend Lenovo for that. Third, there's a surprising omission here. There is no SD card slot. On a phone, maybe I get it these days, but on a tablet marketed towards gamers, media consumption, and possibly productivity, it feels like a feature that should have been here, no questions asked. And finally, switching back to a positive, the speakers are genuinely great here. They get incredibly loud, even at half volume. They stay clear, support Dolby Atmos, and just make listening to anything from games to movies to music sound really good, definitely above average for a tablet. So with everything said and done, where do I land on the Lenovo Legion Tab? I can easily say without a doubt, this is probably the closest thing we have to an iPad mini on the Android side of things right now, especially when you look at the performance, build quality, and even some of those unique software features. Honestly, in a a lot of ways, particularly in gaming, it's much better than an iPad mini. It's just really a nice little tablet, and I'm genuinely glad it's part of the Android ecosystem. Sure, at that $500 to $550 price point, it's definitely competing with some other devices, maybe even entry-level laptops or dedicated handhelds, but for a pure Android enthusiast that wants a powerful compact tablet experience, this is an awesome option in the market. So that's everything you need to know, but I wanted to shift gears and see what you guys think. Is the Legion Tab something you would consider as a gamer or productivity user? Are there any deal breakers that make this not worth taking a look at in your opinion? Probably besides the software. Let me know all your thoughts down in the comments below, as I love seeing what the community is thinking. Until next time, this has been Jordan Floyd with 9to5 Google. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.